Are your leads turning into sales? That is a question that most companies that generate leads are not asking. We have the pleasure of working with hundreds of million-dollar companies, so approaching $1 billion from our large B2B side of the business. We also have the opportunity of working with small launch-based course creators that are generating leads to ultimately sales, and they're a small, nimble team, maybe 1 to, 20 people. We have the both ends of that spectrum of people that are generating leads with the ultimate purpose of nurturing and then selling them something else, whether that's information on the course creation side or maybe like high ticket software on the enterprise sales side. We get both spectrum, Salesforce and Keap for the technology stacks out there. So let's hop into exactly what this means. Here on my screen, we currently see a beautiful website. So there's a website page. Let's just call it an opt-in page /join, for example. And then here is a form right on that same page. Maybe it's a pop-up. You get the idea. There's a form and then there's a thank you of some sort, whether that's on a page or a thank you page. If you're real fancy, if you're kind of more on the direct response side, you might put an offer on that page of, hey, buy this now, kind of the deadline funnels side of things. Or if you're B2B, it's like, hey, thank you so much. We will see you soon. In your emails, and you better die or buy, as some people say. And then you send them content and you say, buy this thing and do all of that jazz. But the core question is it working? And that is a famous thing. Is it working? I use this a lot in a lot of my presentations of we have to define it and we have to define working. JJ from the future here, and I wanted to show you the marketing data order of operations. This is right now we're talking about the ideal plan and building out first-party data and blended metrics. You cannot do this without knowing what you're trying to do and knowing your first-party data and blended metrics. So in this video, I'm showing you exactly how we do that. This is the download. Go to visionlabs.com/DOO/DOO. Download the Here is the thank you page. It is literally a video walking you through the and then you can download your own version, see the rules of engagement, and build out your own PDF fillable version that you can take to your organization and say, hey guys, this is our roadmap for the success of next quarter, next year, next month. And then you can come back to Vision Labs and say, hey guys, let's run an audit. Let's build this out. Let's partner together and build a system that can help you predict what's going to happen. And hopefully we can get down to here to having your reverse ETL, knowing your costs, forecasting out, because every single step layers on top of each other. This is a 1-minute ad read and I hope it was super exciting. Back to the video. So I have built out a sample little demo data stack here. So here is some examples. I'll give yourselves time to familiarize this. Here is the amount of money we are adding on for ad spend for our lead generation campaigns. Here is the number of new leads to our system, not people who have downloaded, net new leads, because if you're nurturing them, they're not new, they are existing, they're looky-loos most of the time, or they're downloading more and more. We then have day 0 sales. We usually count this as the first 24-hour sales, day 7 sales, 30-day sales, 90-day sales, 180-day sales. This will depend drastically on the type of business that you're operating, right? B2B sales, you can have long lead cycles that are literally 6, 12, 18 months. On the direct response side, you might want to be trying to optimize this for break even day 0, right? So if you only are making 5 sales on $500 in ad spend, you want to have these 5 sales be $99. That would be the ideal. So you're breaking even on this, and then every sale after is net new revenue. That's kind of the small business side of things. Now that we have that idea, I'll give you guys an example. Here is an example, visionlabs.com/do. This is this exact model, right? So you go to the website, there is a form on that site. We then fill it out and go to the thank you page, and then there's content. People often ask, well, what is a great lead rate? Would love that you ask that question. Here are some numbers that we generally see. So I would say in general, if you go to a lead page, that page usually converts at 40%. And that is with first name, email, and maybe 1 question. It goes down thereafter if you start asking more questions or more things. We have plenty of examples of this on our own site. where we can drive that conversion rate down to about 10% is as low as it goes from our perspective. But you're ending up asking more and more questions, right? So that's where it really decides, like you have to kind of play with these numbers for yourself. But I'd say 40% is a good benchmark to start from. So 40% of people that submit this form will then go on to that thank you page. Here we go. Then you have content and you have emails, etc. Another question people ask is, what's a great lead to buy rate? And that is a question that is very hard to answer because there are so many types of businesses out there. I would generally say 1 to 3% of people that are filling out your form will generally buy. We've seen small business like pool companies running at like 5 to 7% because you're downloading a guide of how to take care of algae, and then you're selling them a free consult or a paid consult to solve their algae, and that's like 5 to 10% sometimes. We've also seen on the other side where it's like 0.5%, right? Where you don't have a useful PDF or download or whatever you're asking them for, and you have nothing to sell them. So again, 1 to 3% is what I'd say. That's a tale as old as the internet, but that is in general what it looks like. So if you go to our visionlabs.com/DOO, you can experience this for yourself, and maybe you become one of our 3%. Then you people sell content, and you say, do you want to buy this thing? The question that oftentimes you have to ask yourself, right, is if say someone goes through this, right, they go through this thing, they then buy the content, right? And then they go to buy this thing, right? They receive 6 emails, the content, and then they buy this thing. This email will say, hey, I drove 10 sales, right? That email did. Well, is the reason that they drove 10 sales, is that because of this website page or the landing page or the ad or anything else? That is a question that we have to fundamentally ask, is if we're sending people through this automation sequence, do we have a way to know where they came from and why they came from that location? Because after a certain point, it becomes branding that you are then branding and offers that you're then leaning on here. That is the question that we want to ask ourselves. And I'd say the closer to this, the closer that is to that actual lead magnet, that it actually makes a difference, right? So just keep that in mind. Ask yourself, if someone bought this thing 20 emails later, is it because of the sales page, or is it because of the quality of the emails and the sales page not matter? But if you're trying to drive significant volume and significant pipeline, each one of these steps needs to be optimized so you know exactly what's happening and what you're trying to do. Okay, so now we are looking at this example here. This data has already been cleaned, right? This is a sample of direct response style of business, and I want to show you what this looks like once it's been cleaned. So we're pulling this data from all the lead campaigns for Facebook and Google and Meta and everything else, the number of net new leads from the CRM, the number of sales that happened on day 0 within 24 hours of becoming a lead, the number of 7-day sales, 30-day sales, 90-day sales, 180-day sales. You have to play with these increments because not always is this going to make sense, but I'd say most companies try to realize revenue within 180 days, if not 90 days. We ran an actual test for a couple of our clients, and the majority of people that are becoming leads are buying within 90 days, and a few people, stragglers, come in after that. And I'll show you what that looks like. So now we are looking at a data visualization of that exact same data. This is one chart in isolation. If you are a Looker Studio fan, this is just a simple table with some heat maps applied and some bar charts, nothing too fancy. But I want to show you what this looks like, all right? So what we have here is on the very far left, we have the date, right? This is very important because you want the most recent date at the top. We're looking at the month of January as a whole. As I record this, we are way away from January, but you get the idea of January here. How much did we spend on that day? That's a factual question. You can know exactly how much you spent on a day. If you can't, give us a contact. And then you can see exactly moving down here every single day. And then we have the number of new leads, right? So this is running through the CRM. How many new leads are entering in our system every single day? From that, we then can extrapolate of these 99 leads, how many of those turned into sales within 24 hours, within 7 days, within 30 days, etc. What we're then looking at down here is the purchase rate, right, of that 180-day cohort to this. So yours might not look this steady, right? This is a very steady business of saying we're spending $500 a day. We are generating about 100 new leads a day. Our cost per lead is about $5. and we're generating 5 sales on day 0, which hopefully covers the ad spend. We're not even looking at revenue right now. Revenue is a whole other question. And then we have 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, and then the purchase rate within that 180 day period. Sometimes we want to put this at the 90-day period. It just depends on your model. One thing that you will notice is the number of net change, right? So between day 0 and day 7, we over doubled. We went from 0 or 5 sales and we added 7 more or 6 more sales. Here we had 6, we added 7 more sales. Here we had 5, we had added 7 more sales. 5, 7 more sales. 5, 6 more sales. I think you get the idea. It's about 1 sale per day for that first 7 days. Now, if you take in mind day 90 to 180, here we only added like 2 different sales. That is something that we really have to look at and say, okay, we added 2 sales between 90 days and 180 days. That's it. Not a lot of sales out here, folks. And so really, if you're going to optimize your process, you want to look at this first 7 days, 30 days, 90 days, because that is where the money is made. Yours might look completely different, right? We have some clients where every day it's like up and down, peaks and valleys. Saturday and Sunday, huge volumes. Mondays, 0 volume. And so it really depends on your business. And then you, as the marketing data strategist, can then build this out to make even more sense to what you're looking at. A couple of tips I would give you, and when you're looking at this data and building out your own structure, is you might want to add breakdowns for different types of lead magnets. Maybe you have PDFs and webinars and workshops and free tools. Where did they come from and where are they going? That is a very good question to ask of if you're driving net new sales, what type of leads are coming in the door and what type of sales are happening. Very important to ask. The last thing I'll show you is that if you do have a more volatile day over day up and down as far as ad spend or net new leads, is take a look at the week model. So here we are looking at this data by week, right? So we spent $3,500 in this week right here. We generated 706 new leads. 36 sales happened within the first day of those leads. 84 sales happened in this first 7 days. And you can see that pattern more clearly, right? This is a very systemized and structured business, whereas most are more up and down, up and down, up and down. And going to weeks will make you much better as far as understanding that. If your sales cycle is expected to be very long, right? Well, what you can do is actually go to month, right? So you're looking at an entire month at a time. It just gives you a lot less ability to optimize on the day-to-day or week-to-week. We have January, we spent $15K, generated 3,000 leads, 156 sales on day 0, and you can see how that goes up. And within 180 days, 27% of people purchased that from those leads. And this can be good or bad, right? We haven't even looked at revenue yet. I wanted to show you just pure numbers of new leads and new sales. Once you factor in revenue, maybe you're selling a low ticket product within the first thing, or you're selling a very high ticket product at 180 days. And these sales that happen between 750 and 825, these are worth $10,000 each, right? That is where every business is special, and you can't use one particular software to do this. So I want to encourage you to ask those hard questions, build out a system and structure to answer those questions, and then know where to look to find them. So I hope this was helpful. Again, lead to purchase rate, super important. 27% here in the 180 days. Yours might be different. So keep that in mind, and we'll talk to you soon.